Hey everybody, says I'm live, but I'm gonna wait a couple seconds to see if it shows up on YouTube since there's always a delay, and then we can start. But in the meantime, how's everyone doing? Everyone who's watching or even in the future. Okay, shows up on YouTube, so we're live. And once again, hello everyone. Yeah, I haven't really done a live in a long time, especially not doing anything besides live readings. So it's kind of new to me in a way, once again. But oh well. What I'm going to do today is Rochelle's hashtag that she created on her channel, Amethyst Ascension. It's the hashtag 2021 Card Reader FAQ. And she has a series of questions. I have them all in the description box below. I also have the link to her video that she did. I haven't watched any of the videos yet because I didn't want to hear other people's answers before I would do it. And so I'm going to watch Rochelle's video after this. So yeah. 30 questions, and they're all about tarot and how we use tarot, read tarot, these kind of things. So, hey Carla, hey Rochelle, thanks for joining me. Okay, let's get right into it. So I have the questions here on my monitor on my computer, so that's why I'm going to look over there. Question number 1, what is your favorite reading system to use? RWS, Thoth, Marseille? Well, I'm definitely an RWS, Rider-Waite-Smith tarot reader. That is my preferred system. And I don't think I will ever read Marseille because the images, they don't really speak to me. I'm not really a pip deck reader. They don't really do much for my intuition. And I also can't really see, at least not at this point, see myself ever reading with the Thoth tarot. And yeah, I love the RWS system. That's what I'm comfortable with. That's what I know. And so, you know, if it ain't broken, don't try to fix it, right? Okay. Number 2, what is your favorite type of reading to receive? Love, career, past life, law of attraction. To receive. Well, past life readings are definitely fun. And there's always so much interesting stuff coming up. And whether someone believes in past lives or not, for me, it's always a good reflection on my life now, what I'm experiencing, and putting things into different perspectives. For example, one past life reading experience that I had was working through some, you know, as we say, daddy issues, and learning how to deal with that, with the absence of a father. And that really helped. And that was because of past life reading. And something that I also like to receive is like spiritual guidance. Like, for example, if there's a full moon coming up, I would ask, like, what could be the energy to focus on? Like, or any messages from spirit, like, hey, am I going in the right direction? Is there something else that I'm not seeing? You know, just a little push in the right direction kind of thing. Okay, let's just. Number 3, what is your most common reading you do? Daily pull, weekly reading, monthly reading, client readings? I don't really do daily card draws for myself. I never really got into the habit of doing that. I don't read every day, but I do practice several times a week. I do have days when I don't touch the cards, especially if I'm not really feeling it. Like if I don't have the energy, if I feel my batteries are running low, then I'm just not going to bother. But if I feel good, then yeah, I'm going to read. And it's not just necessarily like asking questions that I want answered. Sometimes I just put down some cards, and it's more about, okay, what will these cards in a reading tell me to figure out the story that I could tell. Like, it's like with anything that we do, card reading is also something that I think should be practiced so that we can get better as readers. And it's not just like once you know all the 78 meanings, you're good to go. I think there's always room for improvement, especially if we have different decks, trying to practice with different decks, because for me, different decks give me different ways of reading with them. And so, yeah, sometimes I just do that for practice, or I see some challenges on Instagram, some spreads, and I want to try them out to see if it works, if it doesn't. So, yeah, I do quite often sit down with the cards, or I try to come up with some new layouts myself, and then I just want to practice that and see how that goes, if it makes sense, or if it needs some adjusting. So that's why I read with my cards every now and then. And what was yeah, client readings. Well, I do live readings on YouTube, and I have read for people face to face, so I definitely do that as well. Next question. Number 4, I believe. What is your most favorite reading to give? Love, career, past life, law of attraction. Well, most of the people come to a tarot reader for love readings. That's just how it is, but I don't mind that. It's just, I like to give readings that can give the client a certain sense of direction so that they can figure out what step to take next. It's not like I'm going to spell out for them, like, okay, do this, and then that's going to happen. I don't want to take their free will and their authority away from them. I just want to push, well, not push them. I want to put them in a position where I can say, okay, this is where we're at right now, and this could be a possible course of action if you want a specific outcome. Giving them a kind of guidance, but in the end, they have to decide what they want to do. And like with the cards, nothing is really set in stone, since we have a free will and we can always change it. So, yeah. And I haven't really given anyone else a past life reading. I have only done that for myself so far. But in the future would be interesting to see. Like, I already told my family that I would like to do that for them, to see what comes up and if there are any similarities to some past life readings that I had. Oh, hi, Courtney, and happy birthday. Oh my God. Mwah. I hope you're having a good day. Yeah, past life readings. Yeah, I would like to do that with people, just to see what comes up and what aha moments that can create for them. Like I said, whether you believe in past lives or not, I think there's always something that can be found in there that might be quite useful for the current life. And yeah, I also, like, I do all kinds of readings. What I don't do is health readings, because I'm not a doctor. And I don't like to get into any kind of law questions, because I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge. So there are professional people for that, so I don't get involved with that. Okay, next question. Number 5. What is your reading meanings, intuition, combination of both? Definitely both. And for me, it's like I had to learn the 78 cards first so that I have like a foundation. And then I put intuition on top. And that's why I like reading with cards that are fully illustrated, so that I can see something. I can be drawn to details, like whether it's like the fire in the back, or like the way that he is holding her, or the fact that, for example, she has been bitten, so he must be a vampire, things like that. So I can always find something in the illustrations that will then, for example, spark a memory of either a movie I've seen, a song I've heard, a story I read, something like that. And that will come on top of the traditional meanings, and I will combine that and that is how I read. So I wouldn't say that I'm just following the traditional meanings or I'm just going by intuition. For me, it's always both. Number 6, do you read for others or just for yourself? Well, I already answered that. I do both. Yeah, the haunted house. I'm almost convinced that I need that deck because of how much I see you use it. Well, I'm a very big fan of that deck, and yeah, anyone who wants to get it, it is really good. Like if you like decks that are fully illustrated, and if you like a kind of comic book art style, this deck is definitely good. And it has some cards that are not like completely traditional. For example, the Two of Wands has the Ouija board. And so there's so much more that I can read in here. Or, for example, what I love is the King of Swords with his chessboard, like really planning, strategizing his next move, being careful about it, and all that. So yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that deck. And next question. 7. How long have you been reading? Well, I started reading with playing cards when I was in 9th grade, I believe. So in 9th and 10th grade, me and my best friend back then, we used to do playing card readings, and we had a book that we did that with, but that didn't get us very far. And then in August 1999, I bought my first tarot deck, and that was my Sailor Moon Tarot, which is majors only. And since I've had that, so since summer 99, I have been reading tarot. There have been years when I didn't really read much, where I would only be asked to do reading for a friend, like maybe twice a year or so. But ever since I found TarotTube in the summer of, I believe it was 2018, since then I have really been getting back into tarot and developing my tarot practice, like really, practicing readings and all that. Getting more decks and books and talking to other readers and really, diving into it. And I love it. Number 8, do you prefer tarot or oracle, and why? Well, if I had to choose, it would be tarot, because I think what I like about it is that because the 78 cards have certain meanings, there's a certain framework, a structure that I can work within. And with oracle, like every oracle deck is different. They have different themes, different like ideas behind them. The cards have all different names in different decks. So each deck is like an individual new thing to discover. And with tarot, if you stay within the same system, it's pretty much always the same. Like the 78 card meanings will always be the same meanings, even if the illustrations might be a bit different. But you can read with it right away, and you don't really need to study the guidebook too much once you've learned it. Of course, it doesn't hurt. But yeah, I prefer tarot over oracle, but I will use oracle to get some additional messages. I think I have maybe like 2 oracle decks that I use by themselves, and one would be the Fallen Angels oracle, because that is like its own thing, and the Wild Unknown Archetypes, the round deck. That one I have also used just by itself for some readings, but I also combine it with tarot. But yeah, every other oracle deck, I think I've always used in combination with tarot. But I do use tarot by itself without oracle. So yeah, long story short, tarot is the preferred one. Number 9, do you use layering in your readings? Astrology, numerology, angel numbers? Not really too much, no. I mean, I do have decks, for example, the Prism Tarot. That one actually has, let me just get a card. So this one's really light. So it does actually have like astrological symbols. on the cards, but I don't really use that too much. Like sometimes I will go with the zodiac signs for the court cards and sometimes for the majors, but mm, only when it's about a specific person or to find out who that person might be. Then I might go with like zodiac meanings to kind of narrow it down a little bit. But I don't use numerology. I don't use angel numbers. The only layering that I do is actually using multiple decks in one reading, and that's like multiple tarot decks. So, for example, with past life readings, when I do the workbook, I always have two decks that I use in combination, which is my art history tarot for past lives and the stretch tarot. Those two, for me, belong together. I have bought them specifically for that purpose, and I only use them for that purpose. One is the outside perspective, everything that was going on in that person's life, like what everyone else could see as well. And the stretch tarot I will use for the inside perspective of what that person was actually thinking and feeling in that moment. And with past life readings specifically, I tried to combine like 2-3 different decks to have one deck for each timeline, so to speak, to find it like a common thread that goes through different lifetimes to see if there is a lesson that I haven't learned, for example. And if I use multiple decks, then the same cards can come up again and again. But if I only have one deck and I try to combine multiple lifetimes, then cards will already be taken and can't come out again. So that's why I'm using that layering. Or even in love readings, for example, using multiple decks to have like outside inside perspection. Yeah, so I like layering multiple tarot decks in different ways. The Spirit Keepers covers it all for me in a reading if I need an in-depth reading. Yeah, I don't have that deck, so I can't really speak to that. But yeah, it does have some beautiful images. I still need to try that with layering. I'm definitely interested. Yeah, try that. It's really interesting. Number 10. How do you label your reading practice? Fortune teller, tarot reader, intuitive reader, psychic reader, and why? I think of those options, I think the best description for me would be just tarot reader, because that covers pretty much all. I'm not a psychic. I wouldn't call myself a psychic. I wouldn't label myself as intuitive reader because I don't just use intuition. I use the traditional card meanings as well. And so I'm also not a fortune teller. Like I don't do readings to tell people the future. That's not what I'm doing with this. So tarot reader overall, like the big description would be probably the best word to describe what I do. And that kind of has everything fitting into it. Sip, sip. Okay. Number 11. How did you learn to read tarot? Course, self-study, study with a friend. Yeah, I definitely am self-taught. I never took a tarot class. When I started, it was still very like done in secret because coming from East Germany where spirituality was not openly practiced at all, there was no such thing. And so in the 90s, as we slowly got into like the whole like being open to esoteric things and X-Files came around and all of a sudden people started talking about UFOs and all that kind of stuff. So we slowly got into the like esoteric movement or whatever. And so where was I going with this? I'm sorry, my brain is all over the place right now because yesterday we just found out that we're going to go into another lockdown. So there's like a lot going on right now. Yeah, so I'm the type who's like more learning by doing. So what I did was, for example, with my first deck that I got came a magazine, and that had the card descriptions. And what I would do is I would just start doing readings, and as I had the cards in front of me, I would look for the meanings. And I never had this where I sat down with each card and then looked at the book, like, what does this say? And like learned them, kind of like studying for a test or something, or like learning a poem. I never did that. So I would always learn it in using the cards. And so for a long time, I was reading with a book next to me. And I was always very open about that, even for other people who wanted readings from me. I said, I'm still using a book. Is that okay with you? And so, yeah, in using the cards, that's how I remembered them. I don't think I ever would have remembered them as fast by just studying them. I'm not the homework kind of person. Like, I actually need to do something with that. I need to have a practical approach to whatever it is I'm learning. Number 12, as a reader, do you use images or go by meanings only? I use both. Like I said, like when I see something in a card, for example, here we have the strength card from the haunted house, and this is like not the typical RWS card. Normally you would have the woman with a lion, and here it's something different. So of course I will read something different into this card than into a strength card from a different deck that looks differently. So for me, the images play a very important role in how I'm reading. And yeah, so with this one, for example, like she's looking in the mirror, like you can actually see the hand here. That would be the hand outside of the mirror, and the face that we see is the reflection in the mirror, actually. You can see like the outlines of the mirror here. And so this card is, to me, speaking very much about like, how do I see myself? What actually is my strength? And like the self-reflection. Do I like the person in the mirror? And it's also talking to me about patience, because even though I want certain things, I may not always get them at this time. So I do have a little bit of a different approach to different decks that I have based on what they look like. And I also use decks for different reasons, but I think that's a later question. Let's see. 13, do you cleanse your deck before using it? If so, how? I don't. Something that I would do, like back in the old days, is when I read for someone else, like if I used the deck just for me, I wouldn't reset it. But if I used it then for someone else, I would always reset the deck in a specific order. I would go with majors, then it was swords, wands, pentacles, cups. That was my order based on the first book that I used to read tarot with. And that was also like the seasons from spring to winter. And yeah, for each new person, I would reset the deck. If I would use the same deck for that person again before reading for someone else, I wouldn't reset it. I would still use that the way that it was. But doing all these live readings on YouTube, of course, makes it impossible to reset the deck every single time after every question. So that's how I kind of became comfortable with the idea of not having to do that all the time. And it actually helps. What I do very quickly is, for example, if I have my deck and then I riffle shuffle, and what I will do in order to reset a little bit is I will take a little bit from the back and put it into the front to kind of change the order of the cards, and then I would split it in half and riffle shuffle. And that's like a quick and easy way that I do this now to kind of change up the order of the cards. But yeah, I don't smudge them. I don't have any specific rituals. I don't put them out in the moon. I don't charge them with anything. I don't do that. I just like, as soon as I have a deck, I start using it, and that's it. Uh, do you have a special way of bonding with your deck by using it? That's the best way I can bond with a deck. Just use it. There are decks that I bought that looked really good on camera when other people showed them or when I saw pictures of them. But once I had them, I was like, this is not really what I thought it would be. And so I didn't bond with them because I didn't use them. And they just been collecting dust. So I'm in the process of getting some of these decks out of my collection. But yeah, the best way for me to bond is simply using them. Oh, Rochelle, you love for setting decks. It's so relaxing. Yeah. For me, the most relaxing thing to do with a deck is actually trimming off the borders. But since nowadays most decks are borderless, which I don't mind because that means the images are bigger. But yeah, I don't really have much to do anymore because I don't need to cut off the borders. That used to be something very relaxing for me. Number 15, do you interview your decks, some or all? Hi, Julie. I used to interview some of my decks, but ironically, the ones I have interviewed ended up the ones that I didn't really use that much because I wanted to try to find out what I could use them for, but I never ended up using them a lot. So I stopped doing these interviews and I just, in working with a deck, I will eventually figure out what works best for a certain deck. Like if the images are really talking to me in certain like topics, for example, the Lover's Path Tarot, even though it's called the Lover's Path, I use that for career and work related readings. And that's something that I found out by actually using it. So yeah, I don't really do the interviews anymore. Number 16, do you believe your decks have different personalities and different decks read differently? Yes, different decks definitely read differently. I have certain decks for certain purposes, and I do have experiences with the whole attitude thing. Like in the very beginning, I think I was like, well, I was 18 when I started, and I think I was 19 or so when that happened. I had my deck in front of me and I was asking a question. And when I was done, I was like, I wonder if I ask the same question, if I get the same cards or the same message. And I did that. And then, of course, I got different cards, but the message overall was still the same. And then I was intrigued and I was like, okay, let's try this a third time. And then the third time, the cards did not make sense. They were all over the place and I could not get a meaning. And it was like, as if someone was standing next to me being like, you asked this twice already. Really? Like someone was raising their eyebrow at me. Something that's what it feels like. At least this is the censored version. Like what I heard in my head was a little bit different. Like, nope. So yeah, I have had this moment of like the deck giving me attitude, but that was because I didn't really respect it. I mean, a deck of cards is essentially just like a tool. It's not a living, breathing thing. But like even with regular tools, you have to take good care of them if you want them to work and if you want them to be able to perform well if you need them. So I think in that moment it was just a lack of respect on my part for the tool that I was using. And so maybe it was like a way of like a guilty conscience or something that came into play. I don't know. But yeah, come on already. It was like, bitch, please. That's really what it was. But yeah, I think for me, that really taught me that, okay, I need to respect the tools that I'm working with, and if I want good results, that's basically it. Yeah, gotta love those moments, right? Number 17. Do you read the guidebooks? I should, shouldn't I? Sip, sip. Mm. Well, I mean, I did read like the tarot books with the card meanings and all as I was learning them, but I never really read the entire guidebooks to specific decks. Like I do have decks that come with really large guidebooks. For example, the New Mythic Tarot has a really nice one, or even my Avalon Tarot. The Cosmic Tarot, that was actually one where I bought the book first because it was just $8. And I thought, okay, let me look into the book first and see if I like the descriptions, because the deck was, I think, like 25 or something. And so I wanted to make sure before I spend that money that it's actually like piquing my interest. And so I liked what I read in the book, like in the beginning, like the whole introduction part, and how some of the cards were described, but I didn't read the entire thing. Like I just bought the cards and started working with it. Or I bought the Robin Wood deck and the book, but I don't really seem to connect with the deck, even though I've dressed the lovers, because his love was like very in my face. That was just a little too much love. And so, yeah, but I haven't really felt the need to take the book and just really go through that and connect with it. I don't know. So, yeah, maybe give that another try at some point. For now, it's still in my collection. Like I haven't decided whether I'm going to keep it or not. We'll see. But I should read the guidebooks. I mean, that's why I got them, right? What's your favorite way to store your decks? Bags, wraps, bookshelves. Well, basically I store the decks in the boxes that they come in. So I keep all the tuck boxes. I keep all the other boxes. Like when it comes in a box, like that's where it stays. And like when I'm working with decks, like for example, on my desk, I have like piles of decks on top of each other that I'm actually using, and they're out of their boxes, but the boxes are like next to my desk on a shelf, so that I remember where each one of them goes. And otherwise I have a cabinet where I keep some of my decks, and actually below this table there is a box that has some decks in it so that they are easy for me to access. And yeah, so I need to like see them. I need to have them close to me if I actually want to use them. The ones that I put away in the cabinet, like that's where they kind of stay. So if they're too far out of reach in a way, I'm not going to use them. That's also something that I found out over the past couple of years. So yeah, I just need to have easy access in a way, but I don't use bags. I just keep them in the boxes that they're in. Number 19, do you pair your decks with a crystal? No, I don't do that. Number 20, do you read reversals? No. I tried to get into the whole reversal thing, but it's just I never really stick with it, because it just, I never really know what to make of the reversals. Is it the opposite? Is it the shadow? Is it things not being talked about? Like there's so many different ways that you can read reversals, and I can never make up my mind what I want it to be. So I just don't read reversals. Every once in a while, especially during the live readings, sometimes I have this where a card comes out reversed. And if I feel it needs to be that way, then I leave it. And like in the whole reading. Sometimes it will make sense with the question that I'm getting, but overall, I prefer to not read reversals. Maybe that will change at some point. I don't know, but for now, I don't. 21. Do you have a certain special shuffle that you do? Yes, I do riffle shuffle like 3 times usually, and then I do overhand shuffling, and during that overhand shuffling, that's when I pick the cards. When I get a certain feeling, okay, I'm gonna stop shuffling now, take the top card, and then keep shuffling, and then I take the next card, or something falls out, I also take the jumpers. Yeah, that's what I do it. Number 22. Do you read professionally? If so, a shameless plug should be inserted here. Yes, I do. I have read professionally before, like on a smaller scale. But yeah, if anyone wants to book a reading, my Instagram is below in the description box. You can just send me a DM if anyone is interested. And yeah, I'm always open for readings. So just send me a DM. It's that simple. Um, 23. Do you keep a personal tarot journal? If so, why? Uh, I tried the whole tarot journal thing, but I didn't really stick with it. What I do nowadays is I will take pictures of my readings. And when I take a picture, I will then go into the picture and I will type the question in. So I will put like a little text onto the picture so that I know what the question was. And as I'm saving it in my phone, the phone will always tell me when the picture was taken. So I kind of get the whole date thing. I don't need to put that on there. And yeah, like my phone is actually kind of turning into a tarot journal in a way, as in, yeah, taking pictures of the spread, the cards, and so like sometimes the way that I post them on Instagram, like that's what I do a lot for myself. But most of them I don't post. It's just for me, but I have them in my phone. So whenever I want to look at them, I can just go back, and it makes it a lot easier because I always have my phone with me. And that way I can even go and look at something that I took a picture of like a year ago. And for me, it actually helps to see the images to kind of like do the reading all over again instead of having to go through notes to find what I'm looking for. Like I'm a very visual person, so I find this whole like taking pictures and just having it all in one picture is way easier and faster when it comes to accessing certain information for me. So that's why I switched to the whole taking picture method instead of writing everything down. Yes, technology. How did we do without it? 24. Do you have a certain reading environment that you prefer, or can you read anywhere, or a combination of both? I can read anywhere. The only thing that I would like is a little bit of quiet around me, like peace and quiet. So, for example, I don't know if I could read at a busy bar where there's like music playing and people talking and all that stuff. I don't know if I could do that, maybe, but I do like to have a minute to just focus. But I have done readings in all kinds of places. I don't need a specific environment. Like I've read in my home, in people's homes. I read in offices and conference rooms, um, in the garden. I've read inside, outside. Um, have I done one at the airport? I don't think so. I had my cards with me, and they were taken out by airport security to look at them, but I haven't done a reading. But I probably would have. So yeah, I do read wherever there's an opportunity. And if I read outside, I'm just really careful. Like if it's windy, I wouldn't do it because I don't want the cards to just fly away. But yeah, I don't have a specific environment. I don't need to set up like a candle, crystals, or reading cloth or anything. No, just get the cards out, make sure that the surface is clean, and that's it. That's where I read. Number 25. Can you show us your newest deck? Yes, I can. So the last deck that I received was the Arcania. This one I actually purchased a year ago. So it took quite a long time to get here because it was originally a Kickstarter campaign, and with the whole situation in the world, this took a little while to be completely done. And I have it now. I love the artwork, but something that happened with the printing, because these are not exactly the way that I've seen them on social media, because they are a lot darker. And so some of these cards, like this, is not a very photogenic deck because it looks very dark. Like there are some cards that are okay, but a lot of it like looks really dark. But the artwork is similar to the Haunted House. That's what drew me to this in the first place. And it's very different. Like this, for example, is the Ace of Cups. And what you have here is a little girl with that huge heart on her, well, dress, shirt, whatever she's wearing. She has a little teddy bear in her hand. And the dove is up here in the corner. And the water is symbolized here by a drop of rain. And there's also a bowl of water here with the water lilies. So, but yeah, this is very different. And that's what intrigued me about this deck. So yeah, but overall, it's like very dark. So this is a deck that I will only use during the daytime. Like if it's kind of dark like right now, it's even difficult for me to like see all the details, and that's kind of a bummer. So that's the downside, and it's not cut exactly right. Like, let me see if I can show you. There was a cutting error, but that also happened at the printers. Can't really see it too much, but the cards are not all the same height. Like they get a bit, some of them get a bit narrow at the top, and that's because the whole box has one of these like divided into two sections, and one section was cut differently than the other one. And yeah, unfortunately that is something that happens at the printers. That is not something that the creator can necessarily control. I know that. It's just, it's one of my more expensive decks. I think this is like the second most expensive deck that I own. So that kind of sucks with it, but oh well. If they're, and the cardstock, I think it's a bit too stiff. Like that makes it difficult to shuffle. And since it's really thick, like part of it is always falling out of my hands. Like I can't even grip all of it. So if there ever was a second edition with a bit thinner cardstock and where the brightness is turned up a little bit, I would definitely get a second edition because the images are just lovely. And it comes with its own CD. It's actually a deck with a soundtrack, which I haven't listened to yet, but I think that's pretty cool. Do you ever dream in tarot symbols? No, I do not. I don't think I ever have, no. But with the next question, 27, do you find yourself comparing moments and events in your life with the tarot archetypes all the time or ever? Like, yeah, I do have those moments where I'm thinking like, oh, this is such a Ten of Swords right now, where I'm comparing the situation to an actual tarot card, or being like, don't be such a Five of Wands now, or whatever. Like I actually do that. Like I compare situations to tarot cards. I do that in my head, and sometimes I catch myself that I almost want to say it out loud, and then I have to remind myself, wait, the people that I'm talking to don't know tarot. They don't know that I do tarot. This would not make sense to them. So I keep it to myself. But yeah, I think it would be really cool to do that with actual tarot people, to have that in the conversation and to use that. So I think that would be fun. Like, don't be such a 10 of swords. Or like my signifier card is the Page of Cups. So and sometimes I'm very much a Page of Cups, and sometimes I don't need to be. So almost done. So where are we? 28. How often do you read the cards? Daily, weekly, monthly? Well, I think I said that in the beginning. I don't do it daily. It always depends on my energy level. If my batteries are running low, or if I'm sick, I don't touch my cards. It's just because I want to be able to really focus. I want to be able to concentrate, and I can only do that when I'm feeling well. So if I'm unwell, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, when I'm well, I will do it several times a week. And if I ever do get sick, then I will just wait until I'm feeling better and then do it again. Also, because I don't want to touch my cards when I'm sick. Number 29, are you currently taking a course or offering a course that you would like to share with others? I'm not taking a course, and right now I'm not offering any courses. Like, I'm still in the learning process of figuring out how to use certain things, like developing some layouts. I'm also really interested in combining tarot and psychology. So there's always a little bit of stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes, so to say, that just for myself, where I'm just trying out different things, different approaches. And so that's not something that I'm ready to share at this point. But once I am more secure in that, like if I've done a lot of like practice runs and stuff, and if I work out all the kinks and stuff, then I can share that. But as of now, there is nothing that I'm offering. Last question. Can you offer one bit of advice to somebody new that is coming to tarot oracle from your own experiences? I think from my own journey, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Reading the cards, more than anything, it should be fun. It should be something that you enjoy, because if you can't find joy in it, if it feels more like a chore, or if it feels like actual work, then I don't think you can be really of help to yourself or others. If you enjoy it, you will have a very different approach to it. So not too much pressure. Take your time in learning it. There's no certain time frame. No one expects you to know everything right away. If you want to read with the book, read with the book. There's no rule that says that you can't. It's not like just because you read with a book doesn't mean that you're not a tarot reader. If anyone tells you that, don't listen to that. And also, it's nice to hear about some tarot myths and stuff, but don't buy into that. If people tell you it has to be a certain way, no, it doesn't. It is whatever, the way is whatever you make it, whatever works for you, because at the end of the day, you are the one working with the cards, so you have to feel comfortable with it. If you don't feel comfortable with it, it's not the way, so you have to figure out what works for you. What works for another reader doesn't work for you, and vice versa. And if you want to add certain things to it, then do that. If you want to combine tarot and oracle, do that. If you want to combine tarot and astrology or crystals or whatever, like, do that in a way that works for you, because one thing that I love about our tarot community is that we are so different and that each one of us has to offer something different, which is also why we go to each other to get readings, because each one of us is doing something in a different way. And that's the beauty of it, that we're all bringing something to the table and that we have this variety. So yeah, just go with your gut feeling. That's the best advice I could give you. Preach. Yeah. Well, that was the last question. Thank you, Rochelle, for doing this. This was fun. Let's take another sip. I'm talking for a bit. So how long is it? Almost an hour. Wow. So now I can watch the other videos. I learned so much from. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we can learn so much from each other. I mean, that is also why I'm part of the tarot community, because I can learn so much from other readers. That's why also, for example, I watch pick a card readings, because I will always find something that another reader says that I haven't thought of before. And that's, for example, what I do with my Haunted House Tarot, because I'm actually, I don't know if you can see it very well. Maybe pick a different card, but I'm writing on this deck. And now, of course, I can't find one where you can really see it. But when I watch other readers, and here you can see it a little bit better. So I'm actually writing on the deck, and some of it are like the original keywords, so to speak. And some of these things on there, cat hair, are things that other readers have said in their readings. Like when they talk about a certain card, for example, one reader that I watched said about the Seven of Swords. It's about asking the right kind of questions. And I thought, ooh, that was interesting. And so I put it on my card. And so that's why I watch other readers, because each one of us has their own reading style, different perspectives of what they see in the cards, also based on the decks that they use. And it is always interesting for me to see how other readers do that, and if there's anything that I can learn from them, because I do want to continue learning, and I don't want to think of myself that, okay, now's the point where I know everything and I don't need to learn anymore. That point will never come. And so in that sense, I'm looking at other readers to learn from them. Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. New or seasoned, we can learn from others' perspective. Yes, definitely. Definitely. And especially since we have TarotTube and all these videos available, we should definitely make use of that, not just by like doing free readings or going to readings and stuff, but to actually expand our knowledge and broaden our horizons. And especially since we can come together from all over the world. Like we have so many different nations on here that do readings and in different ways and all that. And I really love that. I really love that. Okay. Well, thank you everyone who was here and who joined me for this. Thanks again, Rochelle, for doing this. And thank you for everyone who's watching this in the future. If you've made it this far, thank you. And yeah, I will see you in a future video. Have a good weekend. Take care. See you next time. Bye.